Oh.
Ah.
Not yours.
Who knows? Hello, Colin. Fancy seeing you here. Come on down, the price is right.
Right now it says 2 hours.
We did have, yes.
Now the question was it on the BBC?
I thought is it ITV? The Price is Right.
Oh yeah.
Was that the BBC or was that ITV? Ooh.
Get in the TARDIS
If
and go
only there was
back.
like a device in your pocket that could like answer any question in the world. Wouldn't
I
that
don't
be an
know.
amazing invention?
Unless they grab us,
Scotty, beam me up.
Ladies and gentlemen, oops, hold on a second.
This is Celtic.
Whoa.
That's a little loud. Do you want to maybe
This one, you want to maybe turn this one down because I know I'm standing directly in front of this
Speaker.
speaker there, but still it's a little bit. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. ITV. So there we go. All right.
No,
So the rest, we're going to be just doing all trivia from now on. So we've got a lot of questions for you this afternoon. Michael looks a little worried, as he probably should be. So welcome to this, our panel on the BBC from the 80s and beyond.
From the 80s.
From the 80s.
I was before that.
I know. And I'm trying to figure out if they limited it to the 80s just to give, I was going to say just to
Who
give,
are they?
I don't know.
Who are they to say what we talk about?
1880?
I mean, what do you guys
I'm
want?
very beyond the 80s.
We're very beyond the 80s. Well, what do you want to talk about? Because we can talk about anything. I was originally, when we talked about this, possibly calling this that goodies make the best baddies, because, you have all played some characters of ambiguous morality on the program, but you're all sweethearts, so far that I know. So as far as any of these know. He's just like, go on, ask me a question. Why isn't anyone asking me a question? All right. Well, do you want to talk about the BBC?
Yes.
Great. I don't know if
This is
John's the
going
only
well.
dissenting voice in this or not, but I'll find it. All right. Well, here's the first question for you then. Did you grow up watching the BBC?
Yeah, I certainly did, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the, I suppose, well, I was born at an early age in 1944, so, I used to watch it an awful lot. Yeah, they became my main employer when I was about 11 years old.
That's amazing.
So I'd had to watch it.
Sure. John?
Yeah, don't forget, Colin, in those days, I was in BBC One, and then BBC Two arrived.
Absolutely.
And ITV and Channel 4, there were only 4 channels.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's far less people watching main television because there's so much other things watching, like Netflix and things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, can you ever guess what the average age now of people watching the BBC is? Have a guess.
60s?
Pardon?
60s?
You're absolutely right. 60 years of age. And ITV's 58. Now, so the BBC have got it all wrong because they're playing to an audience, and then they get top people I've never even heard of. And I thought, who are you trying to entertain? Because it's out of all. I mean, the average age. So there's people my age watching it, and there's hardly any youngsters now watch BBC and the ITV because they're doing other things. There's so much other things going on. There's so many other channels. And we can get CNN. I know people get CNN and Fox News in England. Now, it's got out of all. The difference between my age and that age, well, we used to have some marvellous producers in those days. We've still got some marvellous actors, like, I don't know whether you know, Benedict Cumberbatch, for instance. There's a guy called Michael Sheen, who is, well, he's brilliant. He does marvellous impersonations of Tony Blair. A guy called Brian Clough, who was a football coach. He's brilliant, and he's one of the best actors in England. And we used to have some marvellous producers, and now it's gone, I think. And with this diversity rubbish and all that thing that's going on and on, there was a guy on Fox News yesterday, Concha, I think his name was, he said about this trial that was going on when the guy was proved innocent. He said there's so many people talking about anti-racism and anti-this and anti-that, and is Biden originally, because he supported the verdict, is he now a white supremacist and a racist? He said we talk everybody anti-racist. The word doesn't mean anything. Because you go on about people being racists and you call people Nazis and things like that. It's got out of all proportion in England as well. I'm going on and on and on.
And another thing.
What was your original?
Oh, what
I was just asking you to introduce yourself.
Did you used to watch the BBC? I used to watch the BBC as a child. My memories of the BBC were all in black and white because you had two television licenses. You had a black and white license and a colour license. I don't know whether it was the same in the States. But the black and white license was cheaper, and my dad, being a total skinflint, was like, well, we may as well pay for a black and white license. So I didn't have a colour television until 1990.
It helps build the imagination.
I am colourblind as well, so maybe that was a thing. It's like, well, you are colourblind, so we might as well get a black and white license. Yes.
In the States, you just buy a TV you like, set it up like in the 80s. There's no license for you. You just put up the antenna ears and turn it on.
Yeah, well, that was obviously how originally the BBC was funded. That you would buy a license, and then that license would pay for the BBC programmes. Then obviously ITV, which is a commercial TV station, came out, but then you have to sit through bombardment of adverts trying to brainwash you into buying products you don't need all the time.
Same things here.
Yeah.
And it just brought the licence fee back for people over the age of 70, so I have to pay £154, and a lot of people haven't paid it, but they haven't put anybody in prison yet. They say, actually, we can't take a legal thing. They will eventually, but I mean, for nothing. All right, the BBC now, I think it's gone down the Swanee or whatever you call it.
Down the drain.
Down the drain. It used to be one of the best programmes ever because it represented people's ideas, and there were so many different attitudes going on. You've got left socialists, you've got right, but they tended to be not extremists on BBC. We had the best presenters and people like that. And of course, Doctor Who started on the BBC.
And Blake Seven.
And not in colour. Colour didn't come along till, I think we had the German colour, didn't we? And about, when did colour television start? About, what year was it?
I think
I can't
1970.
remember.
60 something?
Yeah, it must be 60s.
Yeah.
Must be. I was actually doing Crossroads, which was a telly-series and they said one day, right, we're going to put you in a yellow shirt and green trousers and pink stripes, because it was, they were opening it in colour for the first time. So I wasn't really...
Right, let's go all the colour.
They really went over the top. I had a bright yellow shirt on, I remember that, to do this one, yeah. But I can't remember when colour started, but...
Well, it used to be too that if you were in black and white, you would have to wear like a wide array of colors because a blue-gray or a blue-white was different from a white-white, stark white. So you'd want to have differentiation of the colors. But I've seen the colorized pictures of folks wearing certain outfits, and you're like, you probably would not go into public wearing that outfit, but it works really good. Trust me, the camera looks fantastic, right? So.
And don't forget, before that, I'm talking about before the 80s, it was all live as well.
Yes.
So the most awful things happened. There was one television series where the guy, when there was about 5 minutes to go, this guy was supposed to come back on, and he died of a heart attack. And they were waiting around, they had to ad-lib, which made the whole thing seem a bit silly, but they managed to get through it. And there were things where sets would collapse, and nobody took a blind bit of interest, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, they still do, for whatever reason, they still do live versions of recorded television programmes. So, so Casualty and EastEnders, I think possibly Coronation Street, all for some, I don't know what reason, they'll go, yeah, let's do a live special. And if you ever see any of them, they are awful because obviously
They're so tensed up.
yeah, it's literally you'll have the actors sort of stood there, and then obviously someone will say go, and they're like, oh, okay. So I don't know why they do it because they're generally like the worst versions of the program that could ever be.
I wonder
Yeah,
how
but don't
much of
forget
that is
also,
like.
they don't have any. I did the Power Game, which was a thing with Patrick Weimar for about 13 episodes, and we had about 2 weeks rehearsal, about 10 days rehearsal. They don't have any rehearsal at all now,
No, this is
especially in the soaps.
Yeah.
So I admire them because they might get together. When I was doing Emmerdale, Fraser, I only did it for a year. He did it for 17 years. We get together the night before and go over a long scene, and then we just have a run through, and then there's the camera run, and actors are still treated like second-rate citizens.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. I've
Grumbles
always said that about there's no rehearsal anymore. You know, once upon a time when you're doing like the first Doctor Who I did with Colin Baker, you turn up on a Monday morning and you all sit around a table, introduce each other, say what part you're going to be playing, and then you would do a read-through. They would take a rough timing of the read-through, and then the afternoon was then blocking. We were blocking the moves, and then for the next few days you block moves, and then about the third day you need to be off the book, and then you can start putting some flesh onto your character. And on the Friday, the technical boys would come in, makeup, hair, wardrobe, sound, all come in, and you do a run for them. And then you're in the studio on the Saturday, and then you'd actually do it. But now, when I went to Cardiff to do the one with David and Billy Piper, I arrived with a predetermined way that I was going to play the character, and I just fingers crossed that they liked the way I decided to play the character, which, as Michael said, you get there, a word run, a camera run, right, let's shoot this. You don't get the chance to work or to bond with the other actors, and it's
also don't forget, Colin, that we can do it again and again and again, whereas if you're on stage,
right.
You've had it.
Yeah, that's it. No margin for error on stage.
I mean, I don't know what you think about the difference between analogue and digital. Now, I work with a marvellous group called the Medici String Quartet on stage, but they recorded all the works of Shakespeare from the age of, they were about 33, they're all, well, one of them died, but they're all in their 60s, 70s now. And they preferred analogue because they said, and pick it up on digital, oh yeah, we want to have the whole thing either good or bad, and that's it. You know what I mean? Whereas you can pick up things, and it looks better, you can overdo it. Rubinstein did that, the great Polish pianist. He preferred to do it in one long take, and then do another long take, not picking up things here and there.
Well, I'm curious.
Sorry.
Yes, in the early days of the BBC, how hot was it on studio floor with the lights, with the halogen lights and everything? Or you didn't use halogen?
Sorry, what?
You're saying what was
How
it?
hot?
The lighting, it must have been very hot in the early days.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Yeah, if you see a studio today, the whole of the ceilings is just caked in things hanging down, all these lights and things. Yes, it became very warm. It was very warm. I don't know if they changed the bulbs or something.
Like
maybe
LEDs
something
now.
less heat, put out less heat. Is it halogen?
Yeah, these are
very
LED, no
yeah,
heat.
Yeah, but it used to be very warm in the studio. Yeah.
I'm curious, just to go back to the whole rehearsal versus non-rehearsal, when did that stop? When did you start to notice that, you would come into work and you weren't given a week or two to talk to one another or pick it up, you just had to go on off the script?
Do you know, I don't know. The last time I actually rehearsed, and was a short while ago, I was doing a comedy show with a lovely lady called Catherine Tate. And, someone's heard of her. I was doing Catherine's show, and we actually rehearsed. We had a week's rehearsal, and then we came to do it in the studio, and we did a matinee before a live audience, and then an evening performance again.
Oh, that's awesome.
We did it twice, and they took the best bits out and then showed it.
Yeah, well, when I did the Power Game, I was allowed time off from the Royal Shakespeare Company because there were different plays on. So I couldn't believe it, because I'd done Laertes with David Warner, which lasted nearly 3.5 hours. And I found television so easy, I thought, good God, we get 2 weeks rehearsal. I didn't get as much because I was on stage sometimes, but they let me off to do it. and it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I thought television, it slightly went down Swanee from that time on, but oh boy. To get rehearsal.
Michael, when was this?
3.5 hours on stage. I thought this is easy measy, but it was in those days.
Well,
The
obviously,
scripts were very good.
obviously I've entered a lot later into the realm of television. But yeah, even for what we're doing, it does sometimes seem rather rushed. So we've got these costumes on, we've got some very complicated things to do, and it's a lot better now. But before, if you have inexperienced ADs on set, it's like they'll just go, all right, yeah, we'll just shoot it, and we're like, hang on, we need to rehearse. We can't see what we're doing. You haven't exactly told us what we're doing. We're going to have to look good on camera and all in time. So we kind of took it upon ourselves to not be asked to rehearse. We just go, well, we'll just do it. You know, the problem is, I guess, is that schedules are so tight, because obviously time is money, and they have to make the day, it's called, basically. You have a script and you've got to do everything, then you've made the day. If you don't make the day, it will roll on to another day, and if you're spending, say, £50,000 a day on something, if it rolls over another day, where's that money coming from? So there's a lot of emphasis on do it quick, do it quick, do it quick, and obviously recently we've obviously seen that this whole rushed attitude has obviously ended up in someone actually getting shot on set, because there isn't enough time to actually go through all the procedures. Yeah, so, and the whole rehearsal thing is brilliant, and hopefully someone will do a show where they go, you know what, we'll do it this way, and then we'll just nail it in one take, instead of doing 8 takes, which takes a lot of time and costs money on set.
Has it always been at the BBC where you have to stop by a certain time? I know that in American productions they'll try to work around those, but I know that once it hits a certain time, it is become the next day, and then you are working with like the fees which you're talking about. Has it always been like that, Colin?